Hi there, and the Story Ninja is back with a story. But this one is just a little bit different. So, most times, or actually all of the time, I've had a storybook in my hands. But I think I've told you, so some of you have been watching right from the very beginning, know where I keep my stories. Besides in books and on my tablet, I keep them in my head, my heart, and sometimes up my sleeve. For today's story, I'm holding in my head because this one I found a couple of years ago. Just browsing through a magazine and a science magazine. Did you ever think you would find stories in a science magazine? For children, no doubt. Well, this one just popped out. Stories sometimes find me, or sometimes I find stories. This one is called Why the Sky is So Far Away. And Why the Sky is So Far Away is a Nigerian folktale. So let us just start by painting a picture. Imagine this. A long, long time ago, in a beautiful, faraway place in Africa, we are in a village. Beautiful village filled with very happy and content people. Now I want you to imagine the sky being as close as your fingertips. What happens when we reach out and try and touch the sky? It's far away, isn't it? But not in this little village. So the very, very special thing about the sky in this place was the sky provided them with food every single day for every single meal. Can you imagine that? Reaching out when you are hungry and it serves whatever you wish. So no one worked. Really. They all enjoyed making things and doing the very things that they love. Woodwork, handwork, needlecraft, making beautiful pottery, weaving and sewing. The children played, moms and dads relaxed in between their crafting. And I think most of the children learned new crafts too. So every day they would have breakfast, lunch, and supper, plus all the snacks in between. And they never lacked anything. But soon enough, they started taking a little bit too much. And they couldn't eat everything, so they started hiding little bits away, maybe to eat a bit later. And in no time, the food went rotten, and they had to throw it on the garbage heap. So the sky looked down on them, and the sky roared out, thunder clashing, and lightning bright in the sky. People, I am not happy. Not happy at all about this. I do not like you wasting my food. Should you continue to do this, I will take myself away. Now this really frightened the people. They were absolutely shocked. They realized that they were making a great, great mistake. The leader of this village took note, and he was very disappointed that his people were doing this horrible thing, wasting food. And so he promised them, if they were going to try very, very hard not to waste and only take what they needed, maybe soon enough they will have a feast to celebrate. Well, everybody was very, very good because they were so afraid of the big, loud sky that they only took what they needed for breakfast, lunch, and supper, and for snacks in between. And it was about 40 days, and everybody had behaved and saved. And the leader of the village called a feast. And as you know, the sky provided the food, so there were delicious meals. And I want you to think of what is the yummiest meal that you could think of, because it was there. I'm thinking of delicious roast vegetables, the freshest juices. Oh, and delicious yummy fruits. Everything was served on huge platters, on the longest of tables. All of the villagers gathered round, and they had as much as they could eat. But there was one villager. Her name was Osatu. Now, Osatu was there with her entire family, like everybody else. But as people had enough to eat, they said their goodbyes and walked off home. But Osatu stayed at that table until the last platter was empty. Osatu was a woman who loved plenty of lovely things, jewelry and clothing. Oh my, yes, some of you may say she was a bit greedy. I don't think she thought so though. But anyway, Osatu now had cleaned off the last platter, and she stepped off. Oh, but she was barely walking. She was rolling off home, very, very slowly. All that delicious food in her tummy. Osatu looked up at the sky, and oh my goodness, it was the beautiful and most prettiest shade of pinks and reds and purples. And Osatu started wondering, if the colors are so pretty, I'm sure it must taste even more delicious than it looks. So Osatu just puts out a little finger for a tiny, tiny lick. Mango mousse. Oh my gosh, with some berry sauce and delicious custard topping. But she felt she could do with a little bit more. So Osatu takes the spoon, which she always carried up in her scarf, just for in case, and she takes a great big spoonful of sky. She loved it so much that she needed just a little bit more. Just to take home for just in case. Maybe she would be a bit peckish round about midnight. So Osatu packed in to a cloth wrapped around her waist as much of this delicious sky as possible, and she tied it into her bundle, and off she rolled off home. The closer she got to her hut, she called out for her husband. She called out for her children, but they were fast asleep, and no one could help her. So Osatu eventually creeps into her hut, and she looks at her bundle, and she knows that she hasn't done the right thing, has she? Was she supposed to save food for another time? No. So Osatu stuffs this bundle underneath her mattress. But that night, as she tries to sleep, she tosses and she turns, because, goodness gracious me, she has done something not very right. She's kept awake most of the night. Eventually, just before the sun rises, Osatu wakes up to the cries of mothers and children hungry for their breakfast. But Osatu thinks it's rather odd. Surely the sky always has food available for us, isn't it? So she peeps out of her hut. And what does she see? The sky is slowly, slowly drawing away towards the mountains. Osatu creeps out and she wails, "Oh, please, sky, don't leave us. We need you for our food." And now the sky says, "Osatu, you do remember, if you wasted or took too much of my food, I promised, and now I'm keeping to my word, I would take myself away." And as Osatu cried, with the tears running down to the earth, the sky moved all the way back to behind the mountains. But Mother Earth felt the tears dripping and heard Osatu's mournful cries. The earth answered, "Now, Osatu, listen to my promise. I will never allow you or your people to go hungry. But this is what you need to do for me." So the earth is asking Osatu and her people to promise to sow seeds and work the earth and care for whatever grows, so that they may feed themselves and each other. And so you may wonder, but what if the sky was still close enough for us to just reach out and pluck a meal? Wouldn't that help us all? But the dear lesson the earth is teaching us is that if we all work together and we look after what the earth provides and we share with each other, there will be enough to go around. So goodbye for now, and I'll catch you for another story a little bit later. Goodbye.